Hello, it's Dr. Darnese. Welcome back into another episode. Hey, I'm here today to talk about Malcolm X. You all probably know already this is his 100th year celebration of him. He would have been 100 years old this year. And so we are celebrating him. And let me see. I mean, there's already so much going on about Malcolm, honoring Malcolm. And I think continually we in the Black community mostly continue to talk about him and look to him as our shining black prince, as Ozzie Davis said over his while doing his eulogy at his funeral. But despite that, despite the fact that many of us know his story, many of us know his story well, from teaching at college for 20 years, I can tell you your kids probably don't know. Your kids and your grandparents. So don't your kids and your kids and your grandkids probably don't know. They know his name. The whole society has told them that he was the violent one, that he was militant, that he hated white people, and that's pretty much all they got. Because they haven't read the autobiography. And maybe you haven't either, so I'm calling you out. They haven't watched the movie, and maybe you haven't either, and I'm calling you out. Take this opportunity to sit with your kids, your grandkids, and at least watch the movie, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington, directed by Spike Lee. I mean, it's one of the greatest performances ever. We already know Denzel is bringing it whenever he shows up. So there was a moment in the movie where there's just such a transition between Denzel and to Malcolm that you're like, it's Malcolm. Denzel channeled him, it seemed. And so many of you have seen it. Hopefully, most of you have. Go watch it again. Bring your kids and your grandkids, because I'm telling you, you assume that when you send your kids to school that they're being told about our history. Stop assuming that. I've already done a video that says it is foolishness for us to assume that white people are educating our children to our benefit. Malcolm himself said, it's crazy. He said, it's insane that any group of people should have their kids educated by their enemy. It's insane. So please do yourself a favor, do your kids a favor, your grandkids, and tell them about our Black Shining Prince. Now, one of the most famous quotes from Malcolm is, who told you to hate yourself? He said this to Black people. Who told you to hate the shape of your nose and the texture of your hair? Who told you to hate your skin color? Who told you to hate? We know the answer to that question, and we are still, as a people, wrestling with that mental enslavement. We're still wrestling. We still have crabs in a barrel mentality. We still have a syndrome, maybe it is a slave syndrome, of pulling one another down, right? It's like people can't wait. Black people, I'm talking about, Black people can't wait to pull somebody else down, to find fault. What is that about? Now, when when it's deserved because somebody's behavior is egregious, right? Or somebody has really harmed you. But just to get on the internet and talk bad about people, other Black people looking for fault. Malcolm warned us about that. Malcolm warned us about the media. And he said, the media is going to tell you things and then blame the other person for. The media is going to tell you one story and then have you thinking that your enemy is your friend and your friend is your enemy. Mm-hmm. Malcolm said the media is going to create great division. And here we are. So again, I want to uplift Malcolm and his legacy. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. Of course, we tend to put people on a pedestal and so he was not a perfect human being. He doesn't have to be a perfect human being. Again, people want to look for the flaws. Yeah, but he didn't do this, or yeah, but he did that. Well, what? There are no perfect human beings. We just walk this path and do the best we can. And the man gave us his life, trying to free us. Trying to free us. Now, I hope as well that you have watched Who Killed Malcolm X. That's a documentary that's on Netflix. Because, I mean, it's a difficult watch, I will tell you. It is a difficult watch because you see who actually killed him, and you see how the community of Newark, New Jersey knew all along and turned a blind eye. The the mindset was Malcolm had it coming because, he said he went against Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm had to know that this was going to be the consequence. Malcolm did know, right? At a certain point, he acknowledged that, yeah, he expected them to come and get him, right? Well, what is it about us? This goes to, our mindset, the enslaved mindset. What is it about us that allowed us as a community, as Black people, to turn a blind eye to the person who was known to have done it? So when you watch the documentary, Netflix, Who Killed Malcolm X, it's going to take you through. It's very emotional. It's a documentary that portrays one man who's just an ordinary person, bus driver, who said, you know what, we owe it to Malcolm. Why do we just let this go? And so he invested his time, his money, his energy to finding out. And then by the time you do, you're like, what? And if everybody, he's got neighbors, he's got a wife, he's going on with life. What does that say about us as a community? So, I ask you, go and watch that as well. And then while you're at it, you may as well watch Blood Brothers. That is a documentary that is about the friendship he had with Muhammad Ali. Again, excellent documentary. This season takes some time to revisit with Malcolm, revisit and really think about how he lived and what he gave us, the truth that he told, how he courageously spoke truth to power. Right now, you probably have heard that Malcolm's family is suing in New York. He's suing the NYPD, his family suing the NYPD, FBI, and CIA over assassination and $100 million lawsuit, and they have Benjamin Crump as their family attorney doing this. So just reading from the article about it, you can just Google. Malcolm X's family is suing the NYPD and federal government agencies over the civil rights leader's assassination in New York City. The $100 million lawsuit claims the New York City Police Department, FBI, CIA, Department of Justice, and U.S. government played a role in Malcolm X's murder at the Audubon Ballroom in Washington Heights in 1965. Attorney Benjamin Crump, who is representing the family, said they believe the government agencies all conspired to assassinate Malcolm X. The allegations include failure to safeguard despite imminent threats, removing security the night of the assassination, actively encouraging and facilitating the assassination, on-duty operatives failing to intervene, a concealment effort or cover-up after the fact. The complaint reads in part, despite knowing the gravity of the threats, the FBI failed to protect Malcolm X, instead actively compromising his safety by arresting his security team days before his assassination. When you watch that film, Who Killed Him, you'll see. You'll see how the law enforcement people on site at the speech stood by, watched it happen. One of them who tried to resuscitate was scolded later. Why would you do that? Why would you try to resuscitate him? So the Shabazz family is suing. We don't know what will become of it. And in this day and age, when Black history is under attack, this article I read from, this is November 18, 2024. This is a report from CBS News. Right. So in this time, when we are in a era of a certain president, a certain felon in chief who wants no one to know about African American history, who wants the police to have free reign, right? No oversight on the police. It's very important that we stand our ground, that we remember our history and keep it holy, really. If we don't, who will? Right? If you don't tell your children, who will? If all your children get at school is he was violent, he hated white people, and then that's it, and they just go on to the next topic, it's on us, right? I always say that. I always say that. I've been saying that for so long that I haven't even come on here in recent months to say it again because I've been saying to us, to our community, read your history, read books, put down that phone sometimes, pick up a book because literacy is declining. The dumbing down of America is in full effect. It is a concerted effort to keep us dumb, to keep us thinking that to be an intellectual is a problem. There is an anti intellectualism wave that is going across our country, has been for at least a decade, and now we see the result of an anti intellectualist society. Who in their right mind votes against education? Who in their right mind says, oh no, I don't need to really read. I don't really need to know how to write. Who needs that? Malcolm warned us about this. Okay. So anyway, if you're looking for a book, a Malcolm book, here's a couple of, I got a book. Here's a couple, and I've recommended them before. First of all, there's the autobiography of Malcolm X. And so absolutely, absolutely read the autobiography of Malcolm X. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. What are you going to say? I don't have one. There's libraries. If you're going to buy one so you can pass it on to your child, your grandchild, whoever else in the family, it don't cost that much money. It don't cost that much, right? So anyway, The Dead Are Rising, The Life of Malcolm X. This one is by Les Payne and Tamara Payne. Les Payne, as you may know, was a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, and he died before the book was actually finished and came out. So his daughter Tamara completed the project. Yeah, this is, again, The Dead Are Rising, The Life of Malcolm X. And, oh, look, I got stuff in here. This was a bookmark I bought, y'all. It's like a paper doll. Um, Anyway, I can't say enough, really. I mean, I don't have to, this is not a review of his life. You all kind of know the story. He was born in Nebraska, and, his father was killed by white supremacists, and his mother, Louise, was left to raise the family. She was overwhelmed by having 7 children on her own, and she ultimately had to go into a mental health hospital where she stayed for, I believe it was about 20 years. So, and then we know he had a life of crime and, you know, going to prison and having a complete transformation. There, I summed it up for you. And then the other one, which came out before the one I just showed you, Manny Marable, Malcolm X, A Life of Reinvention. And the main point of this book, according to Manny Marable, is to say that Malcolm was very conscious of what was going into the autobiography and that he somewhat reinvented his life or somewhat, I guess, highlighted some parts of life and left some other things out, as of course is pretty typical, actually. But anyway, A Life of Reinvention, because he goes into some of the aspects of Malcolm's life. It's like he's going deeper into various aspects of that you read in the autobiography, and he's doing somewhat of an expose. He's doing somewhat of just giving you more information about some aspects of Malcolm's life. Now, again, Manning Marable is another author who died like right after this book came out. I mean, like right after, like maybe a few weeks after the book came out, Manning Marable died. Manning Marable had a double lung transplant, which I didn't even know was possible, and he didn't really survive that, or he didn't recover very well from a double lung transplant. And so he died soon after. And again, Les Payne died right before he finished this one. So we don't really get to have conversation with the authors, the people who did the extraordinary research that went into these biographies. So that is extremely unfortunate for us. Um, but we got to work with what we have. We have a great legacy in Malcolm X. And I just wanted to come on here and do my bit to talk about him and to uplift his legacy. We will not forget. Black history will not be erased. We will not allow it to be erased. Do not allow it to be erased in your house. Do not have your kids and your grandkids out here walking around saying they don't know. Okay, I said enough about that. But y'all know I'm a college professor, right? And they show up in my classroom, and I'm utterly astounded sometimes that at what K through 12 education has given them and what it has left out. And so we have to fill in the gap as parents, as community educators. You have to fill in the gap. Otherwise, those who want to remove our history, it's that much easier for them. All right, so try to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. I don't think so. There's a wealth of things to be said about Malcolm, but this is not that. This is just a little nugget. This is just some encouragement for you to go and revisit with Malcolm X and his legacy. And yeah, that's it. Bye for now.